I'll request Dr. N.P. Singh to continue.
Let me at the outset welcome each one of you on this hall, braving this windy, chilly morning. This shows that how important Dr. K.K. Agarwal is for the medical profession, and we have a faith in him. He's doing what professors of medical colleges have not been able to do to fill this up on this Sunday mornings. And I really request each one of you to give him a big clap before we go on to this. Now, there have been some doyens in internal medicine who have worked and toiled in greater institutions like All India Institute of Medical Sciences. But at some point of time, you had the speakers talking about finances earlier. Maybe because of the pull factors of the finances or the push factors of All India Institute, they have recently set a trend to leave the institution. One of them is Professor Rohini Handa. No one in this audience would not know Rohini Handa, who is 1 in 5. He's an able clinician. Anyone who has a problem in rheumatology at some point of time would land up in his clinic, earlier in All India Institute, now at Apollo Hospital. He's an able researcher.
This is the point of view.
Points to the fact that he has more than 150 publications in international journals. He's an excellent orator, so that is why you find in almost in all meetings. We just had an interaction a day before in Jaipur and Epicon. And also he's a very good patient listener. So 1 in 4, Rohini Handa, presenting to you to tell you something about what is new in rheumatology. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there are plenty of things which he has to tell in exactly 10 minutes. And he's one who never shares his slides with any of the colleagues. So he would, I am very sure, that use his own laptops for the presentation. Rohini.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, Professor Singh, Dr. Grover, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. K.K. Agarwal for inviting me to speak at this forum. And my brief this morning is to talk about what's new in rheumatology. And I would like to begin by saying that rheumatology is predominantly a clinical subspecialty. It's not very much technology driven, and what is more important is perhaps the technician or the man who interprets the investigations and then formulates a treatment plan rather than investigations or technology. Now, if one were to look at the changing trends in autoimmune rheumatic diseases at a conceptual level, there are 4 important changes. We have new methods of using older drugs, something like new wine in old wine in a new bottle. Then we have novel treatments, and these have to do with the fact that we now better understand the pathobiologic mechanisms of many rheumatic diseases. The third important advance has been the incorporation of the science of quantification in rheumatology. We no longer say that the patient is doing well based upon subjective impressions. We have validated tools to measure, and in that, rheumatology was a specialty which is lagging behind many other specialties. As doctors, we are used to measurements. We employ ejection fractions to assess cardiac function. We look at creatinine clearance or glomerular filtration to look at renal function. But rheumatology was one specialty where quantification was lacking, but this is an area which has made tremendous progress, and metrology is now very much a part of bedside rheumatology. And last but not the least is the fact that quality of life issues are very important, more so in chronic debilitating rheumatic diseases. In the interest of time, I would focus on 2 things, new methods of using older drugs and the newer treatments that are available. Now, if you look at the rheumatic diseases, perhaps the place of pride goes to rheumatoid arthritis, afflicts 1% of adult Indians, and this is to the rheumatologist what perhaps cataract is to the ophthalmologist. Now, how do you utilize the disease-modifying drugs? The 4 frontline drugs continue to be methotrexate, sulfasalazine, hydroxychloroquine, and leflunomide. What has not changed are the drugs, but what has changed is the way that we utilize these drugs, and these drugs are no longer termed as the second line drugs, They are the first line drugs, and as of 10th of January 2010, every patient who has a diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis has to be on disease modifying drugs, and the dictum is hit early, hit hard, and keep on hitting, and methotrexate continues to be the number one disease modifying drug, no matter whether it is rheumatoid arthritis or other inflammatory rheumatic diseases. What has changed is the way that we utilize methotrexate. We do not build it up slowly. Starting dose 10 milligrams, rapidly go up to 15 milligrams, go up to 20, and going up to 25 or 30 milligrams per week. So we begin from the word go, rapidly build up, and this has been a major change. There was a time when we had 2.5 milligram tablets. We started with hesitantly with 7.5 milligrams, took ages, and 15 milligrams was about the highest that we went, and this has all gone for a toss. You now begin with a higher dose, you rapidly escalate, and I must mention here that just as you should be quick to escalate your treatment, once the patient goes into clinical quiescence, one can easily de-escalate treatment also, and methotrexate is such a good drug, it's the sheet anchor of treatment, that before you call it quits with methotrexate, one must make a switch to parenteral methotrexate if there is suboptimal response to oral methotrexate. So this has been a major change, that you're more aggressive with methotrexate. What about newer drugs? And this quotation is very apt when we talk about the biologics or the targeted therapies or the designer molecules. Formerly, when religion was strong and science weak, men mistook magic for medicine. Now, when science is strong and religion weak, men mistake medicine for magic, and nothing exemplifies this more than the biologics. Most of the advances in the treatment have taken place in this field. This is an area which is rapidly expanding. We now have 9 drugs that are available for use in rheumatic diseases. Checkmarked are those drugs that are available in our country. 2009, there were 3 releases: tocilizumab, which targets interleukin-6, golimumab, which is a TNF inhibitor, certolizumab, which is a pegylated TNF inhibitor with a longer life. These are not yet available in our country. The concept is not very difficult. If you look at the concept of biologics, the fundamental is that you have a cell. Attached to the cell is a cellular receptor, and in order for the inflammatory cascade to take place, the cytokine has to attach to the cellular receptor, and you have different ways of blocking this interaction between the cytokine and the cellular receptor, and biotechnologists have made use of this. The first is that you have antibodies against the cytokines, and this is exemplified by infliximab, murine antibody, adalimumab, it's fully human. These are directed against the TNF-alpha. The other modality is to block the receptor so that your cytokine cannot attach to it. This could be interleukin-1 receptor, anakinra, or it could target the interleukin-6, which is tocilizumab or Actemra. Other modality is that you have soluble receptors, so these soluble receptors act as molecular scavengers. They go and bind to the cytokine, in this case the TNF-alpha. Once the soluble receptors mop up this cytokine, this interaction cannot take place and you prevent inflammation downstream. And then finally, you do have B-cell directed therapies in which MabThera or rituximab is available. There is another strategy which is employed, which blocks the co-stimulatory signal, and Orencia or abatacept utilizes this. In this, what happens is that you have a arthritogenic peptide. What this peptide is $1 million question. If you knew that, you would find a